So I'm going to continue with the pre-algebra standards so that you can have a hint about what to look at. Number 4 says, which of the following would be a reasonable estimate for the height of a skyscraper? If you see a negative, that means that this number is a decimal. So those are really small. This says you move it 8 places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's pretty tall, right? This one is 1,000 feet because I'm kind of rusty on my skyscrapers. Let's take a look. See if maybe we can remember this. The average skyscraper is 262 feet tall. So 1,000 seems pretty high, but this seems way too high. So I will always go with D. It's 1,000 feet tall. This next standard is asking for the least common multiple. Multiple means bigger. Like 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. 12 times 2 is 24. Bam. Didn't have to touch a calculator on that one. That's what least common multiple means. Think bigger than that number. What is the prime factorization for 3,375? Say you forget. Just fine. Pull out a calculator. See what they equal. I'm going to put 3 caret button 4 into my calculator. Multiply it by 5 caret button 3. Looks like that is 10,125. Let's try the next one. 3 caret button 3 times 5 times 7. 945. 3 caret button 4 times 5 caret button 2. 2,025. So right now you probably picked D, right? But let's go ahead and look. 3 caret button 3 times 5 caret button 3 happens to be 3,375, and I may not remember what prime factorization means, but I can use my calculator. Number 3. What is the greatest common factor of 20 and 50? Factor means what can you multiply to get to 20 and what can you multiply to be 50. I'll tell you right now it's not 100. 20 is 10 times 2. 50 is 10 times 5. So greatest common factor means the biggest number that is a factor of both of them. Looks like it's 10. Greatest common factor of 12 and 18. Factor, again, means what multiplies to be those numbers, so it can't be C. You already knocked it down to 75% chance right. 12 is 3 times 4. 18 is 9 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. 9 is 3 times 3. So what do you think they have in common? They have a 3 in common. And they have a 2 in common. So the greatest common factor is 6. You can also mark out 9 because 9 times something will never equal 12. Number 5, the greatest common factor of 56 and 98. Can't be that one. Go ahead and see if those numbers even divide into 56. 98 divided by 8 is a decimal, so 8 doesn't divide into 98. 56 divided by 14 is 4. 98 divided by 14 is 7, so that works. Let's try 7. 56 divided by 7 is 8. 98 divided by 7 is 14, so that works too. Let's just see here and figure out which one is the greatest. 56 divided by 8 is 7. 98 divided by 7 is 7 and 14. 8 is 4 times 2. 14 is 7 times 2. So it looks like I have a 7 that's alike already. But I also have another number of 2, so it's not 7. If you have two numbers that are in common, you have to multiply them and go all the way to the bigger number. Number 6, again, just multiply them and see if you get 198. 2 times 3 times 3 times 35. That's 630. Let's try D. 6 times 3 times 5. That's 90. 2 times 9 times 11 is 198. No clue what prime factorization is, but I can use my answers. That's the skills I want you to leave from these videos. Okay, that means we have gone through 3 math standards right now. We're going to go through a 4th in this video, and then I'll have you tell me how it went. Florist is preparing a flower arrangement for a wedding. The client wants 8 roses for every 2 carnations. So every time you see a carnation, every time you see 2 carnations, you're going to see 8 roses. If the florist has 46 carnations in all, how many roses did she use? There's a lot of different ways to do this. I'm going to see how many times, what 46 divided by 2 is. 46 divided by 2, because again, 2 results in 8, right? 46 divided by 2 is 23, so it changed by a factor of 23. So you could take 8 times 23, and that would tell you how many roses. The other way to do this is to set up a proportion. They kind of give you the first fraction all the time, 8 roses over 2 carnations. And you can set up something that you can cross multiply, which might be how your brain thinks better. So roses were on top, carnations were on the bottom. I don't know what's here. Cross multiplying. 8 times 46 is 368. It equals 2 times x. To undo 2 times anything, you divide. X will equal 184. You can always set up a proportion. Sometimes that's how people think better. Number 2, Dave rented a limousine for his wife's birthday. The hourly rate is $80. They used the limousine for 3 hours, plus Dave gave the driver a 20% tip. How much did he spend in total for the hourly charges plus the tip? Talk about real life, right? So it's $80 an hour, and they rented it for 3 hours. That's the easy part. So 80 times 3 is 240. They spent at least 240. So I'm going to mark out C. They spent more than that. We have to figure out what 20% is. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can remember to move your decimal 2 places, or you can remember that a percent is always over 100. Use your calculator. 240 times 20 divided by 100. So he's going to pay $48 in tips. That means my answer isn't 48. That means I have to pay for the rental. Plus I gave him $48 in tips. That means my answer is 288. Wait, sorry, that's circled. We also could have crossed out 480 because that's way too big a number. Willie runs 5 miles in 40 minutes. If Willie runs at the same rate, how many miles can he run in 120 minutes? If he ran 5 miles in 40 minutes, let's figure out how far he went in a minute. So that means every 8 minutes, he ran 1 mile. How far can he run in 120 minutes? Well, let's try to divide 120 by 8. It looks like he'll be able to go 15 miles. See how I didn't really use an equation? You don't need an equation, you just need to try. Think your way through it. These might be my favorite problems on the ACT because they ask you what X is, and they are so nice because they give you options. Anytime you're asked what a variable is and they give you options, plug it in to see if it works. Every time you see an X, plug in 8, plug both sides in your calculator and see if they equal each other. 14 times 8 minus 4 is 108. 7 times 8 plus 24 is 80. Those don't equal each other. It means it can't be 8. So we're going to do the same process. Change the X. Do you think it can be 0? That'd be negative 4 equals 24. Can't be 0. Let's try another number. You'll be surprised how fast you can actually answer these two just by plugging in a number. 14 times 6 minus 4 is 80. 7 times 6 plus 24 is 66. So you're crunched for time and it looks like the answer is 4. If you want to check it, you can. If I plug 4 in, it's 52. And the other side is 52. But I want you to use your answers and your calculator. Okay? You got some scary fractions here, but we'll look at what it actually says. Jane has 3 boxes she needs to ship. Box X weighs 3.5 more than Y, and Z weighs 12 1/4 more than Y. She measured the total boxes and found it all to be 55 3/4 kilograms. Which equation can be used to find the weight of the box? Three and a half more. This might have been one that you just skipped and came back to later and guessed. But what I want to show you is X is 3.5 more than Y. Z is 12.5 more than Y. So you're actually going to have Y in there 3 times. So it's either B or D. And you're not going to subtract the weight of the other boxes. You're going to add the weight of the other boxes, and you can automatically get there. I hope these 2 videos will help with some of the pre-algebra standards.